Everyone, Harold Fisher here, anchor and host of the Daily Drum on WHUR. Welcome to another edition of HUR at Home Newsmakers on WHUR.com and all of our social media platforms. Getting into college, paying for college, and surviving college these days is not a game. It is a complex process. It is expensive, and it requires tenacity beyond just studying hard and getting good grades. But there is help for those who are willing to do the work. And joining me to talk about the help and the work is Jessica Brown, president of the College Girl Foundation. Jessica, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for always having me.
Absolutely. As I said, this is not a game. In 2021, that game has changed. It has evolved because of the pandemic. The cost of college has changed. It has increased. And even before the pandemic, it seemed that everybody all of a sudden wanted to go to college. When you started the College Girl Foundation, what was the landscape like then, and how does it compare to now?
The landscape then was still, lack of opportunity for students and access to different careers, colleges, mentoring, and scholarships. However, it still seems like we are still kind of living in that same world, especially now. COVID has made it even worse as there are so many community organizations and programs that have been stripped because of funding and because of the pandemic. So therefore, students don't have access to different resources and information. So because of COVID, it has been extremely impacted. It's actually gotten a little bit worse. Therefore, I'm just hoping that next year, with hopefully the virus goes away, and community organizations can come back and thrive and really help these students on their educational journey.
What was the focus for the foundation? I remember years ago, there was a lot of focus on tours, but now is it also trying to find the resources to get in? Kind of give me the rundown of the foundation and its mission.
So of course, at first, we were just primarily doing college tours. However, since then we have evolved and started offering monthly educational programs for all of our students who are involved. Additionally, mentoring opportunities and also scholarship opportunities to all of our graduates. As we saw that, these students really needed more than just a college tour. They needed Black millennials that look like them, that have been through many of their challenges and completely understand them, to kind of guide them to the next step into life, whether that be education or professional career. So the College Girl Foundation exposes students and families to different colleges, careers, mentoring, and scholarship opportunities to ensure that we create the next future leaders of tomorrow and create a world of promise and opportunity for them.
What's the hardest thing for young people as they try to get into college? The process is so complex. Back in the day, you filled out an application, you sent it off, and you waited for your envelope to come. It's just not that way anymore.
No, it's not that way anymore. Of course, everything is now online. So, students have to really be savvy with technology and their research strategies. Actually, it's a lot easier than when I'm sure you and I were going to college, because the internet was really just being introduced when I was going to college. Many schools weren't doing electronic applications. You still had to mail it. So the world has definitely changed the college process. However, there are so many different resources now out there now than there was previously, that students can apply, that makes college so much easier.
So let's talk about the resources. Where's the money?
The money is everywhere. Every year I always say
It's
everywhere. Um, there's over $100 million in scholarship money that goes unclaimed annually, right? And just when we were on WHUR on the Daily Drum, you, I, and Dr. Jackson were talking about where do you find this money? You have the app called Scholly, Scholly, that you download it. It'll have tons of scholarship opportunities. I just saw something on there. They launched a $50,000 scholarship, or there's $1,000 scholarship program right now that you can get instantly off a drawing as long as you just put your name in there. So there's so many different apps that have made it easier for you to apply to scholarships. Also, there's Google, right? I mean, I've got kids that can tell me where to find the best wigs, shoes, gaming systems all around, but they can't tell me where to find the money for college. And that is the same research that you are doing for these materialistic items, that it's the same research you need to do for your educational and professional endeavors. So a lot of it is students just making excuses that they can't find the money. Doing some groundwork, calling these financial aid offices, building those relationships with those professionals in that office, building relationships with your dean, your teacher. They have access to opportunities. Donors are always giving money to different institutions and educational programs, but it's the power of the ask. If you do not ask, you shall not receive. So students have to be very creative in their approach of finding scholarships, researching, building relationships, and of course, doing internships that come with scholarships.
Are the scholarships only for those who have the best grades?
Not at all. Majority, there's so many scholarships that are based off of talent. They are based off of experience or skills. Like Google has a scholarship called Doodle for Google. And as long as you create one of those Google things, how you go to Google
on Google's homepage.
Right, on the homepage, you may have your opportunity to win $10,000. So that's not based off of academic. That's not based off of merit. That's not based off of financial need. That's based off of your talent and your skill and your ability. If you're an athlete, you can join these different institutions' athletic programs and get some partial scholarship funding because of your athletic talent. So it's all up to the student on using their skills and their talents wisely to capitalize off of a lot of the money that's out there.
One of the things that I've found with my peer groups, and let's talk about, we are in the DC metro, where the Washington DC metro is one of the most expensive places in the country to live, and as a result you have salaries, federal government salaries, private industry salaries that are commensurate with the cost of living.
Right.
But because they are commensurate with the cost of living on paper, compared to someone who may be in Kansas City, Missouri, or Birmingham, Alabama, or Columbus, Ohio, for those financial scholarships that are based on income of the parents, you're out.
Right. You're out. Because
you're out just because you make six figures in the DC metro. Doesn't mean that you're living in a McMansion. It means that you may be living in a 2-bedroom condo, where that same $100,000 may put you in a McMansion in Kansas City or Birmingham or Columbus, Ohio, but on paper for your son or daughter's college scholarship application, or financial aid, I should say, it doesn't help them. So what do you do?
That's when you just got to hit the ground running and really find these scholarships, really build these relationships, and go to a school that is financially feasible for you. We all want to go to our dream school, but the question is, can you financially afford it? And not just affording it for 1 year, but can you afford it for the matriculation of the entire educational program?
What does that mean? Explain that.
What that means is that, let's say this year I get $20,000, right, from the institution. Then next year I don't have $20,000. If you're not signing a contract with the institution the moment that you are admitted, saying that for the next 4 years I'm going to get $20,000, You can't guarantee that you're going to get $20,000 every single year until you graduate. That's why it is so critical for families that when you are getting these financial aid award letters, you are thoroughly reading them. Is this scholarship renewable? Understand how much is tuition. Don't wait until you get your first student account bill to realize you have a $10,000 to $15,000 out of pocket. That's when you begin to make the worst financial decisions. You begin to take out student loans. You begin to get in a payment plan that you know you have no business signing up for because you don't make enough money to afford it. So you want to make sure that before you even go to college and you enroll into that institution and start taking classes, that you thoroughly understand the whole scope of the institution, the cost of attendance, the location. If you're living in California, coming to DC, that is also an additional expense as well. Transportation daily, if you have to take Ubers to different places, you have to also factor those things in. So when looking at going to college, you can't just look at, oh, this is a great education. You can get a quality education anywhere, as education is truly what you make it. You want to make sure that you're financially free post-graduation and you're not buried in thousands of dollars worth of student loan debt. And then you're going to be grown and still back at home because you got to move back home.
Mm-hmm. I do want to go back to the tour piece, though, because I think that's critical. But now when we are in this really kind of weird place regarding the pandemic, what, after you get over the excitement of being on a college campus for a young person who's coming out of high school, what do you tell that young person and their parents, for that matter, about having the critical eye? What should they look for when they're doing a college tour?
What you want to look for, I mean, of course, you want to speak with financial aid, right? You want to build that relationship with them first. But you want to see, I mean, is this environment for you? You know, do you see yourself here? You know, so many students, they don't learn in big environments, right? They can't go to a school where they're just a number. It's 25,000 kids. They need to go to a school that has 10,000 kids. Look at the student-teacher ratio. Is the student-teacher ratio 8-to-1 or 80-to-1? You know, how do you learn? What is the best way for you to learn? While you're at these college campuses, don't just go on this fabulous campus walk and look at the fountains and the gardens and the bookstore and the people. You need to go to a class. You need to see, is this type of environment the environment for me that I can learn? What are the facilities like, right? Everybody can get a nice postcard, but you don't know what's really in the inside. You know, visiting these dormitories. Can you live in these conditions? Can you live in the city? Or can you live in the suburbs? You know, students, these are the questions that they need to begin to ask themselves and begin to create a college checklist of what their wants are and what their needs are, and see what college would be best equipped to equip them with that. And with that being said, I would strongly encourage that students download the mobile app HBCU Hub, especially if they're interested in going to an HBCU, as HBCU Hub is the first mobile application that connects students directly with HBCUs, with admissions, recruiters, with information on everything that you need to know about some of these schools. And it's a one-stop shop. So I would strongly suggest that if students are interested in HBCUs, that they consider using that as well, since many colleges are not open to visit.
Jessica Brown, how can people find out more about the College Girl Foundation?
People can find out more about the College Girl Foundation by visiting College Girl Foundation, and of course, the girl is GURL.org. They can follow me on social media at College Girl JB, and also the foundation has an Instagram as well at College Girl Foundation. And we have our application open, so we hope that students will apply up until September 19th.
Okay, Jessica Brown, president of the College Girl Foundation. Always good to talk to you. Good luck to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Harold.
That's it for this edition of HUR at Home. I'm Harold Fisher. As always, I'll see you on the radio.